Well, we're gonna stay with us, Yarrow. We're gonna call on stage someone who also wants to put human at the very center of his activity. He's like heading a major company in China, like one of the most important one. And we call Wang, please, on stage. Please welcome him.
Wang. Woo!
We have another movie star, right?
Good to see you, Wayne.
I could see that you two had a lot in common. You were talking backstage and yesterday also. So we thought it would be interesting to have you both on stage for what we call a conversation, which is one of the formats of the Day One event. It's not only about speaking alone, but it's also about collaborating.
Perfect.
Sure. So it's so nice to be back on stage. I think I grew a taste of the stage ever since this morning. So I never think that I will be an actor or whatever, but now at this moment, I think that stage is great. We're talking about a most interesting topic and most exciting topic. So back on stage, you will see this slide. I think I picked it particularly for this moment. What is Day One, right? And anybody knows Ray Kurzweil, right? Ray Kurzweil writes about singularity theory. Man, after 2029, you're going to live forever. But there's another very famous theory he wrote. I cannot agree more. Is technology advancement will irreversibly transform people as they augment their minds and their bodies. We talk about AI, we talk about automation, we also talk about robots. And all those kind of technology actually really augments and enhance the ability of human being. And to an extent that human being is in a stage of no return. You see there's two hands, they're touching. This is the point. We are meeting the future. Just as Yarrow was saying, the future is just now. Isn't that very exciting? Yes, that's it. So this morning I was talking a little bit about my background from China, building technology company in China, in Silicon Valley. And here's what I did. I built a technology platform over the past 14 years. On that technology platform, basically, we automate many of your normal processes of managing people, managing your workforce. So to an extent that lots of work of your daily work, managing human capital, have been automated. And just giving you two little detail. Actually, this is just a tiny things. But you will see in my office, there's a little AI terminal. Basically, it automates most of the so-called routine, trivial process of an employee onboarding and offboarding, automates. With that, somebody tells me, hey, you basically eliminate a work of receptionist or a HR administrator. And now, if you travel to China, if you're in the airport, you will see robots everywhere. What do? Reception, usher, tour guiding, time terminal, PLC controller, training host, remote meeting host. Wow, think about meeting host.
So you have them already at the airport?
Everywhere.
Yeah, they speak.
If you go to a retail shop, you will see somebody greeting you, say, hello, what do you like?
Yeah.
Something like that.
And they speak the language you want? I mean,
well, I'm sure they can speak Chinese, English. I'm not sure about French though, but they can be speaking French.
So what do you think about it? Do you feel like it's a nightmare? We're going to erase a human from the airports, or do you think like it's the way we should go?
Okay, so that's the question. That's the question we've been soul searching. What are we going to do with it, right? people are saying, well, that's the end of the day. The workforce will be eliminated. Personally, I have doubt. I don't think about that. Okay? I would think that lots of repetitive, routine work may be eliminated. But there's a way that human being can improve yourself. Human being can learn lots of the digital things and becoming expert, or so-called digital dexterity. What is English, the meaning of the dexterity? Sorry, English is not my mother tongue, but oh yeah. Good at that. Yeah. So, and then also, with that kind of digital know-how, and with this kind of elimination of routine work, organization is also changed profoundly. And hence, you have so-called giga economy. Think about, what is that, the Uber. Think about the workers working in Starbucks. They're now all becoming more time-focused staff and so-called project-based employees. So that is the consequences of all those technology changes. It's the result of the digital transformation.
So how do they live this, the employees, when they feel like their work is going to be automated, but it's okay because it's just a routine task? Are they happy about it because then they think they can be reskilled and go to another kind of level? Or how do you perceive this?
And personally, I believe it liberates human being. Human being no longer needs to be just working on trivial, routine kind of work. They basically can focus themselves on more creative things.
What does that transition look like?
The transition is you become, how to say, more fun. You will have more freedom to think or imagine and create things.
Yeah.
Ever since when I was a kid.
You don't agree? Excuse me. I feel like you're skeptical.
I love the perspective, and I think that you're right eventually. There's going to be probably 2 decades worth of clunky transition, right? One day you just walk in and be like, hey, Wayne, you don't have a job anymore. Great, I'm more free and I'm more fun. Just like overnight. I think there's going to be, what do you do with your extra time?
Exactly. He is the best person to talk about that. I read your bio. You used to be a movie maker, right? Isn't that? It's all about imagination, creativities, and all that.
Yes?
Versus me, I was trained as an engineer. People were saying engineers are boring.
Yeah, but I think that his point is actually that if you can get rid of routine tasks and get someone or some robot do it for you, then it gives you some time to do some more added value things, right?
I totally agree. I just think it'll be a long-term benefit.
It's a shift. It's a shift.
Exactly. So how human being leap to change them? This is the question. It is really how we can upskill ourselves. So I would like to quote another guy's words. It's Alvin Toffler. Well, lately, for the past 2 years, I've been elected as Global Council member for a great university in New York City, New York University. Alvin Toffler was one of the alumni. So it's a famous futurist. Probably most of the people read about his book about the third wave, right? I think I read it when I was in high school. But he said one word, which I remember very vividly. It says, the illiterate of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read and write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. Think about that.
What are the, in your point of view, what are the jobs and the skills that one should be looking for and seeking for in today's society, so that he can ensure he's going to have a job later and not get replaced by a...
There actually is a study that just came out recently where they polled a bunch of CEOs about the jobs of the future, and they're saying that of this generation, they'll have 7 jobs in their lifetime, and 5 of those don't exist yet. So how do you train for jobs that don't exist yet?
Yeah, interesting.
And there's a series of skills that they've identified, which include creative problem solving, creativity, critical thinking, resilience, being able to be very flexible and bounce back. And with those skill sets, if you're able to, and they don't necessarily teach those in high school or university yet, but there are, like we launched Hatch Academy as a way to bring mentors to the table to be able to let them learn those soft skills, because then you can apply those toward the jobs that don't exist yet.
I'm asking this because I know in the audience and yesterday and today there are many students from the the University of Monaco, and really the head of the university said, okay, don't come to school, go to day one and learn from there, which I think was a brilliant idea.
Very cool.
Students actually are in need of this kind of information.
Yeah. And also it created opportunity for an employee, and you don't have to be born by one career. See, my wife was trained as a molecular biochemistry. Biochemistry, she's a scientist. But later on, she taught herself to be an insurance agent, for instance. And we see a perfect example of Yarrow. He used to be a movie maker, but now he's an entrepreneur and making social network kind of a company. Isn't that? You were not boomed by one career. You can have second career. You can have multiple career.
What do you think of that?
Your persona basically evolves. You become more creative. Isn't that? It's a perfect example of learn, unlearn, and relearn. Isn't that?
And that's very interesting because I can tell that you have different kind of position of different ways of seeing things, but at the end of the day, you all agree on the fact that humans should be put at the center. Yeah. How do you put it yourself at the center? What do you see for the future of our societies? How can we embrace this revolution and at the same time protect human being at the center?
Well, you have to start with the humans at the top of the priority. And there's a lot of technology companies that are still not necessarily designing technology specifically for human use. They're like, oh, wow, we can make this tech do this thing. What do we do with it? I'm like, well, you have to think about how it benefits humanity. And there's, obviously there's a lot of dialogue around AI right now and sentient beings, but you really have to put the human priority at the top of that. How does it serve humans? How does it serve the end user?
But don't you think maybe that sometimes you need to think like a greater good, like not people as individual, but societies as a whole and as a vision for the future? And if it means eventually having to go through a hard time, it's for the greater good?
The hottest fires forge the strongest metals?
Excuse me?
The hottest fires forge the strongest metals.
Oh, okay. This is
going through a hard time.
Okay, it's the expression. Okay, I didn't get it. But yeah, no, don't you think that sometimes we need to?
I think the technology is happening. It's evolving quickly, and the best we can do is to try to put the humans at the forefront of that question. There's not really any stopping it, nor do we want to.
Yeah. Well, this morning I was involved in a very interesting topic by Mr. Sinard from Michelin. And at the backstage, I was discussing what do you view the function of human resources department. He says it's an internal service provider, provides a service to all the human assets in the company. So we intentionally changed the words called HR. We call it human capital management. Human is a capital. Thus, I am the human capitalist. That's what I call myself. And I said, we are the company that is servicing the future, which is you, or the employee of the company, or the employee of the human assets.
You know, Wayne, it really struck me what you said, because it's I think it's very cultural, and in some country you just wouldn't say you are capital, which I totally understand and I fully agree with, because this is, in my opinion, how we should see it. And it's not necessarily negative. It's not a bad thing. But in some culture, they put individuals above everything because they think that we shouldn't speak about people as if they were an asset. But maybe in China, the culture is different. Maybe in France it's different, and we cannot actually address the issue the same way everywhere.
It's a shift of a paradigm. Although China is the most populous country in the world, but now the view of the people we view it is a human capital. That's it. So that's what we are servicing the future. That's it. I think that fits the theme for today.
Just for close-up, because I think it's a nice way to end this session, to see that we are different background, different culture and ways of seeing things, but at the end we want the same. What would you hope for the future, but not only for China nor for your business, but how would you see every country, how would they be able to collaborate so that they can reach this common goal, even if they are different, with different backgrounds and different views? How can we get to that? We know, I'm asking this because every time we have to face a revolution that is global, just like this one, we have to agree on some term at some point if we want to reach a goal, right? And today, I can only see that we fail in doing this. Like for the environment, we fail at finding an agreement. So as a close-up, just 30 seconds each, how would you see us collaborate to reach this goal, even if we are different? You have 30 seconds each.
So, before I came here, I was just thinking, oh, what is it? Having human as the center, and how are we going to, move ourselves into the future and go in that direction? And what is day one? Is day one the first day of the rest of our life? And I was teasing, to Yarrow about that. And then we said, oh, maybe the real meaning is this is a gradual evolvement. This is the first day that we are moving towards the future. That's it.
I think that's a nice way of ending your session. Yarrow, the floor is yours for 30 seconds, if you can inspire us.
I think that it's critical, kind of three things, but the two are getting people together in person, like these convenings. Like this, the talk is one thing, but what happens in between the sessions and late at night, it has to have human-to-human interaction. But I think there's some really amazing and beautiful and elegant technology that can continue to catapult from those relationships that are started, an evolution of current social media. And so I think we have to find the hero within all of us. And go ahead, Christophe. I actually made this little, when I was coming to day one, and I was paired up with Wang, and we'd never met before, so I did some research on Wayne and found someone gave an interview with him and said, what would your real life hero be, or if you could be any superhero? And he said, Yu Fui. And so I did some research on Yu Fui, and this was 900 years ago. He took, this is Wayne as Yu Fui.
Thank you so much, my friend.
Thank you. Yeah, and as Yarrow said,
Yu Fui took 800 soldiers into battle against 50,000, one to every 64, like 900 years ago, and he just had like 128 battles all by himself. But anyway, technology,
I got scared because
curation. The last thing I was going to say about the curation is this diversity, right? Every single industry.
We all are superheroes. And as you said, the conversation, we do it also backstage and online.
Thank you all.
We really have to welcome. Thank you, Wayne.